Okay, let's talk about drivability before we proceed, because this is very, very important. This is a 440 hertz tone. It's used because of where it is on the frequency graph. Usually 440 is something place that's not boosted or recessed relative to how much the bass or the treble could be. Pink noise has a range, so you can't really nail it down. Now, just for people who are really not sure, as I turn this dial to the right, the number, so we're on 13 right now, 13.5 actually is what this is. As I turn this up to get louder, this number gets smaller, just so you know. So let me go back to 13.5, so I'm turning it down. And I'm going to click this (77.1) at 13.5. That is the Sennheiser HD560s. So wait a minute. Okay, now we have the Moondrop VOID. We're at the same setting as we were with the Sennheiser, so I'm going to go ahead and remember the target is 77 for the output. We want to listen to all these at the same perceived volume, the same actual measured volume. Click it. 79 point. That's 2 dB over. We don't want that. So as you can see, we are going to turn this down, which makes the number increase. Now let me go ahead and figure this out, because I want to get it to 77. Which is 16.5. So I'll go ahead and spare you that time. So this is by about 2 dB. What is that? 15.5. That's 2 dB difference. 15.5. Let me write that down. Significant is the difference between screaming, lack of bass, presence. Lots of things can happen because of that. If you were not to accurately adjust this to compensate for the difference between this set and the one that was before it, the Sennheiser, one would sound different than the other, and it might be negative or positive, depends on it. This is a kind of a big deal. So we've got the Sen at 13.5, we've got the Void at 15.5, so it's plus. Remember, when we're turning it down, the number is increasing. And then the last one. Okay, now we got the AKG371, and we're still on the setting that we were on for the Void. So I'm just going to go ahead and click this file. Target is 77. Let's try that one more time. It's down to 16.5. And there we go. So 16.5 for the AKG, Void is 15.5. So there's a 3 dB difference, which is significant. If you were to listen to the same source without touching the volume, just to kind of test the sound quality, you'd be listening to one set louder than the other. So this is just an exercise in how important that is when somebody says something is loud, or the bass isn't. What level are they listening at? And when they are comparing A and B, are they compensating for that? That's not to imply that they're not, but what is the actual listening level, and are they compensating for it? On an ADI 2 DAC, to get to 77 dB on a 440, these are the numbers: 13.5, hardest to drive. Remember, again, as I showed you, as you turn the volume up, you are decreasing the number. So as you try to power up this number, the smaller the number, the more power that is required. So to get to where the AKG was, we got to do a few steps actually. So I'll proceed with the review. Okay, with all of these being stimulated to the same level at 77, it sounds like the kind of the obvious actually is going to come up. The AKG is a closed back. It's got elevated bass. It sounds like it does on Big Boy Kill Jill. It's got more impact if you got a library that's EDM, trip hop, hip hop, or you just really want to hear the low frequency instruments very, very present at all times. This would be the set to pick. The next would be the Moondrop, because its tuning is reflected in the listening. It's not too much bass. It's not anemic either. It's got more bass than the Sennheiser, but stick around because I think the Sennheiser is really good. On the low end, the closed back is taking it. I prefer open back myself, as you can see the stuff that I display. I'm a big fan of Susvara and other sets. I like the Void. I would probably pick it, actually, if I had to pick out of these three, just listening to this track or just listening to the low end in general. Go into store, do a demo, listening to something that's got a lot of low end, maybe a modern pop track, which I don't like, but if I was listening to that, I might end up walking away. Probably with the Moondrop, because it gives me a little bit of sense of open, the ambient noise, and it's not anemic. So I'd probably go with the Moondrop, actually. So that's the low end. Okay, let's talk about the mids. What I want to say is let's talk about the Sennheiser 5. Is it the 560s? Is that what it's called? I bought this because people said I should grab it. There's a track called Dreams on Fleetwood Mac Rooms. And there you go again. You say you want your freedom. It's a sweet, sweet female vocal play, and it's a very well mastered and produced album. And the Sennheiser sounds fantastic when it comes to female vocals. And then I start to hear the tech, the ability to perceive subtle things like finger slides, pedal pushes on pianos, on Elton John. All those little things seem to be more available on the Sennheiser than on the Void, and definitely on the AKG. So if you're a Sennheiser 560s, that's what it's called, you really got a great set. I like that a lot. I think that mids in general sound really good on this set, or to my preference anyway. And the Moondrop sounds good, but this is where, focusing on a track like this, where we're talking again about finger slides and like the breathing into the mic versus just a vocalist on a mic. There are subtle differences. People know what I'm talking about. The Sennheiser is a superior replay to the Void. The Void would be the safer set. But when I started to listen to stuff like this, I thought, wow, the Sennheiser's pretty good. I get why you guys are asking. I'll tell you whether I think you should jump at the very end of this video. The mids, in this order: Sennheiser, Moondrop, AKG. Concerto number 1 in E major. If Google is correct, I'm not going to get dinged on that. When I went to university, I listened to classical music all the time because the lyrics are what distracts the brain. And I listen to Vivaldi, Verdi, Tchaikovsky. This piece sounds best on the Sennheiser. It's not really that close. It's an excellent set. If you listen to stuff like this, that sounds fantastic on the Sennheiser. Sounds good on the Moondrop. It sounds fine on AKG, but comparing these three sets, I would line them up like this. I'd say the Sennheiser is almost kind of on another level. That is a really good set. I was touting how awesome the AKG is because I saw a graph of the Sennheiser and thought, that's not going to be my thing. Let me turn this down. So I never bought it. And then I did the Moondrop Void, and people said, please get that, compare it. And multiple people said that. So I bought it. I found a used one without a box. Do I care? No. Am I going to keep it? I thought I was just going to maybe give this to somebody. I'm definitely keeping this set. The ability to perceive all the nuances of something like that piece right there is, it's not a track, it's a piece. God, I'm so much getting back into classical music. If you listen to classical music, I'd say get the Sennheiser 560s if you're on a budget. I'm pretty sure this is affordable. It's a superior technical replay than the Moondrop. Now, I'm going to go ahead and stop this and give my conclusions. And then I'm just going to go ahead and play this while I shouldn't be getting dinged. And we're back. Classical music is kind of mesmerizing, isn't it? So what do I rec? I think that the Moondrop is a very safe recommendation. The build quality is probably AKG, Sennheiser, Moondrop. I would say that. The build quality is this Moondrop's weak point. It's not tuning. It sounds fine. It's the safest of the three tuning. It's the ultimate jack of all trades, master of none. This is great in the mids. The treble I haven't listened for an hour long session, so I don't know if that could get on me. On short listening, like a review like this, I found it to be quite appealing, very, very nice. It lacks a little bit of bass that the Moondrop has, but the Moondrop lacks some of the technical ability and just the reality that the Sennheiser presents. The AKG is a closeback and falls behind both of these. It's very durable. It's very comfortable. If you wanted to listen to EDM, trip-hop, hip-hop library, and, you know, not be really sacrificing a lot of tech, the AKG 371 is a great set. I like it. I think it's good. And I was going to wreck it really over all other budget sets 2 weeks ago, and then Moondrop came in, and then I got Sennheiser. I'm going to take the AKG out of this for a minute. It's great for its price. It's great as a closeback, and its tuning is good. The Moondrop is again, jack of all trades. The bass is not rolled. It's not overly emphasized. It's reasonably accurate. The treble is not too fatiguing. It's a nice replay. When I listen to it in a way that I'm trying to determine in my own mind with my own library which one has the better transducer in it, that plus the tuning and optimizing the transducer, it seems like Sennheiser's got this one. That's my opinion. If you've got the 560s, should you move away from it? No. Do you want something that's got a little bit more bass? I don't use EQ. I think that you would be going down to get the Void. If you don't have any of these sets and you don't want to deal with EQ at all and you don't listen to Vivaldi, the Moondrop would maybe be the safest bet. Safe and good. It's not bad. It's better than the AKG. For a first headphone by a company, I think it's excellent. And I think they're going to intentionally have higher quality in the mid and upper, since they're doing 3 releases in a short period of time. So that's almost guaranteed that's going to happen. So this is budget. It sounds kind of like a budget set. This Sennheiser sounds like a mature set, actually, for people that are lovers of music like Vivaldi. And also, it did excellent with Fleetwood Mac and vocals in general. Sorry for the semi-long video. Remember, this is what I came up with. When someone says shouty, someone says lacking, you've got to consider lots of things, especially if it's an A and B comparison. If they're not adjusting between a Sen and an AKG, for example, 3 dB is significant. That's going to make something like the strings on a Vivaldi piece sound maybe a little bit louder and intense, but if you were to adjust it to the same as the other set in question, it might not sound such, and you can just focus on the technical abilities of the driver. Is this OCD? Am I completely nuts and lost my mind? I don't know. Does it matter? I suppose it does. Anyway, I'm out.